everybody, Michelle is here. Michelle is in the building on this Saturday. And so I'm essentially running around, running some errands, picking up some stuff, and essentially also saying goodbye to this area. Goodbye to it. Giving my final goodbyes. And as I'm driving through this particular city, I know that I'm making the right decision to move on. Because I can remember when I was working in construction, working as a first responder, assisting construction workers. And, it was a major construction project that happened in this part of the region, on one of the major thoroughfares, or the major interstate in the area. And I was working at and it was chaotic. I'm not going to lie. It was chaotic because you felt like you're riding around in a circle. And most people weren't paying attention, of course. I think I put a video out about this too when I was working. Because most people are not paying attention. Nobody's reading signs or paying attention to the detours or paying attention to this and that and the other. And a lot of it has to do with distraction, of course. And a lot of it has to do with the people that are, that set things up. Sometimes they don't set things up that make sense. And so you feel like you're going in circles and circles and circles. And I can remember coming across so many people. And they're just bawling and crying. And they're pointing their cell phone at me and saying, but that's not what it says on the cell phone. I said, this is a major construction area. The cell phone is not going to keep up with the major developments. This and that and the other. And it was just like, everybody was upset because, this is the way I always go. This is the only way I know how to go, and blah, blah, blah. And I always tell people, no, many different ways to get home. No many different ways to get home and blah, blah, blah. But, of course, like I said, nobody listens to anybody. Nobody listens. They knew that. And what's so annoying, it was annoying, is these people in the area knew that this was going to be a major it was $1 billion project, $1 billion construction project. And everybody was so happy about it and just all carrying on. But they didn't know the impact of it all. They didn't realize that it was going to upend their lives, And like I said, a lot of people were relying on their cell phones and GPS and this and that and the other to direct them. Well, who has time to keep updating GPS coordinates when you have a major $1 billion project going on? You think it may have started out great in the beginning, where everybody was alerted to the changes to the roadway and this and that and the other. But for the most part, nobody was paying attention. Nobody was paying attention to that. Everybody was just so happy and, carrying on and this and that and the other. Well, and so some people, would get off in the middle of the night. And that's where I was working overnight. And like I say, I could see people panicking and like, oh my God, I'm in the middle of the night. And they were in, certain areas of town they were not familiar with and blah, blah, blah. Because, sometimes when we would detour people, we had to do that. We had to detour them through, city areas. And a lot of people just were not familiar with these little city towns and this and that and the other. And so they were getting afraid. They thought their life was in danger and just carrying on. Child, please, Child, please about the fact that they thought these areas are so dangerous. That's the part I'm talking about. Yes, it's frustrating to get yourself caught up in feeling as though you're going in circles and circles and circles and circles. But what is so great about it is when I saw all this is happening, I kept saying, keep going. Just keep going. Just keep going. And so the reason why I was saying that is if you just keep going and keep going, eventually you'll get out of the circle. That was the point. So I know on this road trip I'm about to take, there may be that kind of thing happening for me as well. I may run into some roadblocks. I may run into some detours. And I may just, get all discombobulated. However people used to say that. I know I'll probably get myself all twisted up and as if I'm in some whirlpool. But I know that if I just keep going and pay attention, follow the signs, you hear what I'm saying? Follow the signs, which could be literal, metaphor, all that can come into play. Figuratively, just follow the signs. Pay attention. Put your cell phone down. Put your cell phone down. And so, like I said, I can remember this young lady. I could tell she was a young lady. She had to be in her 20s. Like I said, she was bawling, just bawling. But she didn't realize that if she had just kept going forward, she would have gotten out of the circle. But she just was just bawling and carrying on and just going. And I did everything I could to get her attention, but she wasn't paying attention to me. She was all caught up in her emotions and just so caught up in the moment that she didn't pay. If she had looked up, she would have saw a way out, and she would have, she didn't need her phone. All you had to do is look up and see a way out. So that's just something to think about. I am not great at directions. Okay, I said that in the beginning. Direction of travels is, because we all have weaknesses and nobody's going to admit it. I don't know my direction of travel sometimes, but I get there. You know why? Because I keep moving. So that's the point that I'm making here. Sometimes you just don't know where the hell you're going. I know when I get on the road and start traveling as far as I'm going, because I'm going to go pretty far because I want to. How about that? But at the same time, I know that there's going to be something that comes up. Some unexpected series of events. That's just natural. And that's to be expected under the best circumstances. Okay, whether it's a road detour, whether there's a major crash, whether it's weather, whether it's this or whether it's that. But I know that I'm going to keep going. All right? That's, and that's the part of the journey that you have to get out of. You have to get out of the journey at some point. Otherwise, you will be just traveling and spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning and getting yourself all frustrated and you're crying and, you're in your emotions and no one can understand you when you're emotional like that. I'm going to be real honest. Nobody wants to deal with that. That's, because that's too much. No one wants to be dealing with someone that's in an emotional crisis like that. So that's why it's always best to just allow people to get out of it. All right, just stand by and let them get out of it first instead of trying to do something evasive and harm these people or anybody when they're in that kind of mode like that. Because what I said to this young woman, I said, just keep going. Just keep going. I didn't yell at her. I didn't say it. I just said, keep going. Just keep going, because all she had to do is put her cell phone down and look up, and she was all that she was going to be out of the circle. But she got herself all caught up in it. So that happens to all of us, all right? That happens to all of us. It happens to me, as strong as I am, or as strong as everyone assume I am. I'm strong. I got a lot of strength and I got a lot of skills and abilities. I got all that going on. But you don't think I can break down sometimes? And have setbacks or have emotional breakdowns? Yes, I can. By the way, let me make that very clear. Because life is overwhelming sometimes. Especially when you add the intentional overwhelm. And then the way people are driving these days, nobody's paying attention. Most people are on their cell phones. And they're relying on GPS navigation to direct them. Okay, I remember I knew, that's when I knew my phone was being hacked, because there was some time, because I was starting to rely on that too, GPS, and I knew my phone got hacked. All right, and I'm sure it'll be denied, but that's fine, because there were times where I would put in, where I wanted to go, and I was going anywhere but in that direction, and I knew I was going in the wrong direction. But I just relied on the GPS, right? Because that's what everybody else does. And I knew that something was fishy about it, because it would have me going 5 miles one direction, and then it would have me going 5 miles back in that same direction. and then it had me going 5 miles. It just had me going in a circle, right? And I did get frustrated about it, and I can remember last time I used GPS, and that's been a while. I was extremely frustrated. I'm like, what the, because I was just ready to get out of the vehicle, and I knew I was close to home, but why was I being sent all over the country? Why am I being sent all over the place? So luckily I did know the area, and that's why it's a good idea to know your surroundings. Like I said, kind of pay attention to your surroundings so that you don't get yourself frustrated. Because I got myself frustrated that day, and the reason I was frustrated, I'm not sure why. There was something else going on too, and this was recently too, by the way. Yeah, it was recently. And something else was going on that I was concerned about. And so sometimes, I know how it is. We just don't want to be thinking about certain things all the time. And what do I mean by that? Sometimes we just want to be have things on autopilot. How about that? We like that autopilot because, sometimes we feel as though that gives us a break from thinking and paying attention and this and that and the other, which is not true, by the way. When you're on autopilot, you can essentially, like I said, run yourself off a cliff per se, right? So that's why you do have to pay attention to your surroundings yourself. Put your sense in everything that you're doing. Yes, it's nice to have technology, but I'm telling you, technology is could be manipulated, and it has been manipulated, and it will be. For a reason, okay? And so that's why they want you to be relied on these apps, because they want to know where you're going. All right, well, they don't want you to go this particular way. They want you to go this other way because somebody's paying for you, paying in a marketing sense to have you go this direction, and blah blah blah. It's all about marketing, in some cases, and it's all about the bottom line, and it's all about how much I can get out of people. And and no one's considering and having empathy for people at all. It's about detouring you from one area to another. Okay, to bring business from one area to another, right? Okay, that's how they did that, and that's a way of dividing people and being divisive. So, but like I said, like with this technology, it's going to be a rude awakening for a lot of people. Because in my opinion, no one ever thinks about the consequences. In most cases, most people do not think about consequences of nothing. They just see a bottom line. They see that, oh my gosh, we'll be able to control these people. We'll be able to send people all over here instead of having people going all over there. We're going to send people to this neighborhood, but not to that neighborhood. Neglect one neighborhood over another. This and that and the other. That's why these apps are set up. Okay, they're set up like that. To keep you out of certain states, to keep you out of certain cities, and to keep you out of certain communities. All right? So keep that in mind. You're wondering why I don't get any more business here in this area. Well, and in other areas where nobody would ever consider going in most cases. Right? All because the area is an affluent area doesn't mean that anybody wants to go there. Some people love the comfort of going into their own communities and knowing that they can rely on the people there because they know the people that own that business, and so they know they're going to get good food and good service. Just because you're going into another area doesn't mean that you're going to get good food and good service. All right? So there's a lot of things to consider, but a lot of things require thinking, though, unfortunately. And if you don't like thinking and always relying on applications or apps or technology to do it for you, then that's where you're going to be running off a cliff, literally, for some people. So, it's okay to have an autopilot sometimes, and and just so relax. That's why I do not support self-driving vehicles. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Right? But hey, I'm sure a lot of people are so fascinated by technology. But why would you want a driverless vehicle, though? That doesn't make any sense. But anyway, just like a train. I mean, you need somebody at the train. You need somebody on a plane. Okay, so why would you get into but anyway. I just don't trust the autopilots. Okay. I understand it does happen. But I think for the most part, everybody needs to start paying attention more and not just relying on that. And paying attention to your surroundings. Trust your instinct. Trust your gut. All because technology says it's safe to go into a certain region doesn't mean that it's safe to go into a certain region. So, again, I'm saying goodbye to this city. Just doing some errands and running around. Just saying goodbye. Once I leave this state, I'll come back to visit, of course. Because I still got family members here. But at the same time, I do appreciate everything that this city brought me. And as far as my consciousness, my psyche, developing other skills and abilities, being able to manage myself more so, deal with challenging, life-threatening stuff. And, and when I say life-threatening, I'll decide how I want to share that, because all of us deal with life-threatening situations. All right, just don't make it be, but it doesn't have to be made into attention grabbing. I'm not trying to grab anyone's attention when I say that we're all dealing with life-threatening events every day. Just driving, just eating certain types of food, drinking water, eating certain types of meat, chicken, poultry, whatever. Everything's a life-threatening event now because of the imbalance and the disturbance with the planet. Like I said, we all are essentially being poisoned. If it's not the water, it's the food. If it's not the air we breathe, it's one thing or another. It's if it's not swimming, one thing or another. So just keep that in mind. And there's nothing about, like I said, grabbing attention. It's about being aware and giving information. Okay? And still at the same time enjoying each other, loving each other. Because, like I said, it was all about love. That's the whole idea. It's always been about love. Right? The act of love. So, and a lot of people miss that. It made it into a material, always about materialism and grabbing and greed and lying and being deceptive and manipulative. And it's going to come back to bite a whole lot of people, the least expected ones. And I said enough about artificial intelligence, and I'm going to keep talking about it. But I'm going to change the tone of it and change how I present it. And like I said, you have to repeat, because a lot of people, just like I said, are not paying attention. Okay, they're not paying attention. They're paying attention to the wrong things. Like I said, worrying about bedrooms, who's in one person's bedroom over another. And again, there's going to be times where some people are just going to need assistance of us, of we, of I, or me or you. So some people are going to need that kind of assistance. Now, we're not going to provide it to where we're being drained, of course. But some people may just need a meal. Maybe some people may need a hug. Who knows? I'm going to decide how I'm going to handle how people approach me and deal with me. I'm going to make that decision. But I just want to say, this town has offered me a whole lot, and I'm very appreciative. I'm appreciative of the experiences more than anything. The experiences and the perseverance and the willingness, to take the time out to heal myself and know that was the most, otherwise I would have been dead, I think. I really do. injured in a way where I have to be taken care of, and that is something I want to avoid altogether, honey. I don't want to be a burden. I want to be responsible for my well-being and still be married, or still have a partner, or still be a part of a group. So that's very important to me. That's part of my self-responsibility and accountability. To keep myself healthy. I feel like a 20-year-old, and I mean it. I mean it with and my strength and everything else. So I think that's all for now. I'm going to go ahead and say that for now. And let me go ahead and finish up my little journey here through the city, handling some things, taking a look here, taking a look there, being reflective and being so thankful for this opportunity and being so thankful for this moment. So peace and love, everybody. And trust me, I'll be back.